To gather in this beautiful place reserved for incredible experiences, we are here to support each other, to remember, to uplift ourselves as we celebrate, think of, honor a man so central to our life. And as we are here, dear friends, really, Achim, family, also family, we're mourning, we're diminished, and our heart is broken. So in Judaism, we have an acknowledgement of this. It doesn't solve anything. It names it for us to be able to take this time, breathe deeply, and move into what is next. So all of us who are mourning, we could say these words, please. Baruch, Atah, Adonai, Dayan, Ha'emet. Blessed be our God, ruler of the mysteries, the true judge in this world, the one who knows why we're here today. Many of us are still not in disbelief, but certainly very sad. We acknowledge too our tradition that says in the book of Eov or Job, you can repeat these please. Adonai, Natan, Vadonai, Lakach. Yehi, Shem, Adonai, Vivorach. God gives and God takes. And blessed be the name of God. So with those words, we're mourning. You can see the fissure, the brokenness of our hearts. And we take each moment, connecting all that we've shared with Ronny, all the ways that perhaps even in this space, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Sivan, I was here when your bat mitzvah. There were big T-shirts and all sorts of things. It was, yeah. So we're here, and if you could maybe, and all of us who are joining online, of course we want to be with you, and here we are. So if we can maybe even online, especially online, just close your eyes and maybe have whatever comes to connect you and Ronny and his family here, Windy Ridge, maybe somewhere in Austin, maybe somewhere in Israel, maybe somewhere in New York, or all over the world. Just take a moment and just see where your imagination, where your mind, where your memory goes. And then we'll offer a few psalms as well. Just take a moment, just begin to channel, begin to welcome, to think of all of the ways that you have shared with Ronny, and in what ways you have. This is Psalm 23. It's a psalm that speaks of transition, of moving from one state of things to the other. It says in English, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. God has me lie down in green pastures. God leads me beside the still water. God guides me on paths of righteousness. God revives my soul for the sake of God's glory. And though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You set a table in sight of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall abide in the house of our God forever. Mizmor David, Adonai roi lo echsar, binot teshayar bitzeni, al mei menuchot ינהלני נפשי שובית ינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו ילך בקץ על מוות לא ירא רע כי אתה עמדי שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צורריי תשענת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה אך טוב החסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. Our life quickly passes and flies away. Teach us to use all of our days that we may attain a heart of wisdom. Match our days of suffering and sorrow with days of joy. May God's favor be upon us, and may the establishment of the work of our hands be in this world. May that truly be the case. And as we sit in this surreal moment, Job also says, when a man of distinction, of discernment, when he dies, how can he be replaced? In this world, there's a source for silver, a source for gold, places for copper. However, where is wisdom, discernment? Where is all of that to be found? And it asks us without answering the question. When a man of distinction, of discernment, of wisdom dies, how can he be replaced? Today, November 1st, Ronnie's birthday. He would have been 52. That's a hard number to say. It's not a number that you expect, not 92, 82, 52. We have questions. And yet our tradition asks us to not fear death, for we are all destined to die. And death is better than a life of pain, an eternal rest than constant sickness. It challenges us, and we may not like this, especially Ronnie's family. I know it says, seek not to understand what is too difficult. I think there'd be resistance to that. But yet search for not what is hidden from you. As a drop of water in the sea is a grain of sand on the shore, are each of our few days. The good things in life last for limited days, yet a good name, relationships last forever. God, forsake us not in this time of trouble, in days of distress and desolation. Help us to endure, our God, for we are placed our hope in you. All of us gathering in these spaces to try to open the ocean of a man's life. His family, his dear friends and family. We'll ask some to come to begin to articulate what is on your heart. So Mira, we're going to ask you to come forward, please, and to speak. And from there, Sivan and Isaac asked me to share a couple of words as well. But Mira, please come forward.
think everyone here would agree that my dad was a very special and greatly impacted every single person he met. His thirst for adventure and selfless urge to please others was clear from the first word you would exchange with him. My dad made me who I am today, and my dad is one of the main reasons why I have had a life filled with love, excitement, travel, and close relationships like no teenager I've ever met. Close to 2 years ago, I was sitting in my mom's room with my dad, and we had a conversation that at the time I didn't know would change my life forever. I said, "Dad, I want to go to Vietnam. I'm not really sure why, I just do. It seems cool." And he pretty much responded with, "I'm free this summer." Next thing I know, I'm packing my bags, and the two of us are off to an adventure of a lifetime. During our trip, we stayed in many unbelievable places: a boat, a city of locals, and a $13 a night homestay in a terrace farming community. And even though they were all so different, two things stayed in common. Everywhere we went, my dad made a point to meet amazing people who all fell in love with him instantly. And each day we spent with each other, we became closer and closer, reminding me of what a lucky daughter I am, and how lucky everyone who met him was. This is just one example of our many, many amazing experiences together, which I've had enough of in my 16 years, as most people would in 10 lifetimes. For all of the years passed as my partner, and all of the time spent together, my dad has taught me values of generosity, curiosity, loyalty, honesty, love, and so many more. These are all things I've watched him bring into every single person he spends time with. Dad, I loved you for infinite reasons, and that will never be forgotten. But there were always two that stood out to me. One was your loyalty to everyone meaningful to you. No matter what was going on, if me, anyone in the family, or anyone at all said we were having a hard time, you would immediately be in the car headed home. If you saw something at the store that you thought we would like, it would be immediately in our hands. You were always thinking of others and never let us doubt the fact that you would do anything to make us happy. You also showed us how important passion is in following your desires. You wouldn't waste your time doing things you didn't like. You always made your life as enjoyable as possible and followed your heart. These are two of the reasons why, for as long as I can remember, I wanted to be just like you. You're an amazing role model. You have brought a light into my life in an unimaginable way. In my hardest times, you got me through it and never failed to put a smile on my face. You have changed me and everyone else for the better. And because of you, I have strength, bravery, and a lasting bond together that will never fade. Thank you for the amazing life you have given me and the immense amount of love. I love you, Dad, and you will always remain my partner and the most important person in my life. I will never stop calling you my best friend.
I'm going to share a couple of letters. One written by Sivan this past Father's Day 2020. We'll begin with this. Sivan writes, "Dad, what can I say? There are simply no words for me to express my love, respect, and admiration for you as a father, role model, and friend. Everything you do has a purpose, and that purpose is usually making other people happy. You are exactly who I aspire to be. It absolutely destroys me that this may be one of our last Father's Days together. But at the same time, I am eternally grateful for everything you have done for me. I wouldn't change a thing, except maybe cancer. When people give me their condolences, I just feel so lucky that we have the relationship we do. So many people I know have healthy dads, but they don't get along, or their father did not treat them properly. I would not trade my situation for the world, because I get to say that my dad, unlike many people's, treated me with respect, increased my confidence, and is my absolute favorite person on the face of the planet. To say you are the most special human being on the planet is an understatement. And I am so insanely proud to be your daughter. Trust me, my friends get sick and tired of me talking about how awesome you are. I love you so, 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 so much. Forever and ever and ever. Poopy. Isaac Birkin, Sivan's boyfriend, wrote a note. As he writes, this is a note from Isaac to Ronny. Unfortunately, Ronny was unable to read this note before he passed, and Isaac today wants me to read this note here. Isaac writes, Ronny, this is my 14th attempt at writing this. It's been incredibly difficult to write a note that captures how appreciative I am of you and how much you mean to me. I'll try and keep it short. I always envisioned giving you a big fat check when I was older to at least financially pay you back for all that you have done for me. I'm a little strapped for cash at the moment, so all you're getting is this note. You changed my life. There's no other way to word it. There's not enough paper in Austin to list all the unbelievable things you have done for me. Everything from business mentoring, life lessons, introducing me to your closest friend, and taking me around the world. It's just mind-boggling when you sit down and think about it. Not to mention that you pretty much got me into UT. I know you're well aware of all of that. You do so many generous things for so many people that I feel like you forget that my life is 1,000,000 times better because of you. But it's not just the things you have given me. Being around you for the past 4 years has been so incredible. You radiate positivity and humor. And watching you go about life in such a unique way has influenced me more than you know. I don't really know what the purpose of this note is. I don't want to make it sad because I know you would not like that, but I need you to know a few things. One, you are the best person I have ever met or will ever meet. That is not an exaggeration. I have been telling my mom that for years now. Two, I know the best way to show you how appreciative I am of you would be to utilize everything you have taught me to become a successful businessman and a happy person. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. Whatever I'll make it happen.
Sorry, Rabbi, can you repeat that last sentences for us? The audio
Three.
went out. Thank you.
This goes without saying, but I will do everything to make sure your girls are taken care of. They can obviously handle themselves, but even if I can make a Ginor girl laugh again in 30 years by throwing another luau and dressing up in a coconut bra, I'll make it happen. I want more than anything for you to see what I'm going to accomplish. Thank you for treating me like a son. I will never forget it. Love, Isaac. Maddie.
I'm Ronny's younger brother, Nadi. I am 6 years his junior. And as such, he often used that as an excuse to introduce me as the before picture, with himself as the improved after picture. At a very young age, Ron decided that traditional paths and established practices and customary metrics, while informative and instructive, would neither define him or confine him. As an Israeli 6-year-old, Ron started reading horse books from the US and making lassos out of string and on special occasions, watching old westerns in black and white. And Ron soon concluded and pronounced that he would, one day, be a cowboy. That wouldn't be so surprising, but for the fact that there are about as many famous Jewish cowboys as there are Jewish NFL players. And around the same age, I proclaimed that I would be a fireman and an astronaut. You may notice my spaceship and fire truck aren't here, but we are gathered here on Ronny's ranch with his horses and his prize cattle in the backdrop, and on his 52nd birthday. See, when Ronny targeted anything, he often hit a bullseye. And I thank my lucky stars that he did, because when I was very young, Ron and our oldest brother Eyal asked me to hold the dartboard for them. And in my naive enthusiasm, I asked why, and they said that Mom did not want them harming the wall. Thankfully, Ron always had great aim, first with darts, later with guns, and ultimately across life's dartboard. He was pretty much a bullseye kind of guy. In 1991, he targeted travel and adventure and global exposure, which led him to semester at sea. On board, he found his beloved Diana. And after that, he targeted medicine and business and horses and travel and venture capital and real estate, and most importantly, friendship and brotherhoods along the way. And he nailed it every damn time. What was most remarkable to me was to observe as his youngest brother that during all of those paths to success, he attracted and gathered and ultimately weaved the most incredible tapestry of people together. From Bedouins in Sinai to cattle herders in Texas and Maasai warriors in Africa, and to me, his little brother, and he treated everyone with the same respect and dignity and adoration. Because his core values were universal, he created a web of interconnectedness between all of these different cultures and people and friends. And some of us are with us today, and many are in some formation. And despite his otherworldly awesomeness, he also possessed a very endearing humility and an unlimited capacity for kindness and generosity. And I was always the direct beneficiary of that. He was always proud of me, calling me, forwarding me an email or a text telling me that he heard this good thing about me or that in our increasingly overlapping business worlds. And in his role as my big brother, I knew he felt best when he supported and encouraged me. Ronny also had a great sense of humor, and I found him to be literally the funniest person I've ever met. Just 11 days ago, we were eating barbecue with Ronny and some of his buddies, and I added a little brisket to my plate. As Ron would say, not a crazy amount, just nice. And in front of all his friends, he began to loudly applaud me and told me how proud he was for beating my long struggle with anorexia. When we lost our dad in 1994, Ron was particularly hit hard. Ron and Dad were uniquely close, and they were cut from the same cloth. Dad was Ron's biggest fan, and despite Ron's personal and significant pain, Ron was worried about me and always thought of me as his little brother who just lost his dad at an even earlier age. And Ron always thought of others, even more so when he too felt pain, and this continued throughout his life, and astonishingly was most magnified in the recent months and weeks through his passing. Over the past months, I've seen Ron call and text and email and connect to those mosaic of relationships that I mentioned that he collected and matured and nurtured over his life. He let people know that he was preparing to go. He let them know what they meant to him. He left them impacted, but also left them feeling that they impacted him. And he offered humor and recounted memories and shared lasting lessons. Late last week, to make me feel better, he told me exactly what I needed to hear for me and for him. That he was excited to go see Mom and Dad, and that he would tell them how great a person I was. He waited for Ami and Mira to arrive from Israel this past Thursday morning, waited for Diane and Sivan and Ami and Mira to surround him as he laid in bed with his girls around him, and drew his last breath not 5 minutes after they arrived. He knew they needed their chance to say goodbye, but he also knew that he needed to limit their exposure to the process. And so he did what he does, regardless of his own discomfort, to limit everyone else's. No marking left Ronny prouder and more impacted than his role as epic girl dad. Even in the heyday of health and success, anytime he shared a story with me related to Sivan or Ami or Mira, his eyes welled up. He truly could not grasp the magnitude of these three incredible sisters, and that they were the result of the greatest union in love with Diana. And Sivan and Ami and Mira, your emotional poise and your strength and your solidarity and your loyalty are sacred. And I will always and forever be here for you, as will Natalie, and in every way. And while it's obvious, what is even more apparent is that your dad will carry on his incredible legacy through your life's journeys. My beloved brother, you taught me the value of hard work and commitment, of uncompromising love for family, and fierce loyalty for true friends. You showed me very early on that defining an individual path and ignoring prescription could lead to great things. And amazingly, though, you taught me more in your final months and through your struggle than I could have learned from any other man in a full lifetime. You taught me that every day is a gift, that tomorrow is neither owed nor promised. And because of this long-standing philosophy, you faced your illness with unprecedented acceptance and resolution and courage and bravery, the likes of which defines you yet again as a legend. You astonished medical experts during these past 3 months while you engaged head-on in your final mission. And against all odds, you were right here at Windy Ridge not 9 days ago, celebrating your life with your friends, because you knew that we needed to celebrate you, and despite your own discomfort. And in the words of Diana, once again, you will forever be our Iron Man. So rest in peace, my brother, because your aim has been stellar, and it will guide ours forevermore. I love you.
Thanks, Natty. We'll hear from Jonathan, Dash, and Yoa.
Ronnie's been one of my absolute closest friends during the latter third of his life. I know Ronnie made so many people feel like they were his best friend. They actually were. But in truth, one of his favorite refrains, he established such deep relationships and friendships with so many wonderful people. He often lamented there simply wasn't enough time to enjoy them all to the level he desired. So I have met so many of Ronnie's extremely successful, talented, and special people in his life. The fact that I'm standing here today in front of you is one of my greatest honors. Diana, Sivan, Ami, Mira, and Ronnie have been my family's closest friends, and more accurately, our Austin family since we arrived here at the beginning of 2003. Brooke and Sivan were just 2 back then, and Carly and Mira were on the way. Jill and Diana have spoken daily, if not hourly, every day since. Their bond raising our collective 5 amazing daughters provided me the opportunity to spend time with one of the most unique and special people on the planet. There are thousands of hours our family spent together, Jewish holidays, ski trips, and too many weekend evenings grilling, eating, and playing shithead to count. Shout out to Michelle and David Levy. We cherish them all, but today I wish to focus on Ronnie the myth, and the legend. First, let me say that it's my belief that Ronny was not entirely the same person to all. Not to say that he was any different a person to who he was, or to those he cared to be around. Rather, each relationship he nurtured took on a unique and committed bond that brought out both the best in Ronny and the other lucky person with whom he chose to spend his time, and focused each relationship around what was most valuable to him and that person. Most notably with Diana, Sivan, Ami, and Vera. In each interaction, Ronny took the time to share a story, tell a joke, poke fun, drop a pearl of wisdom, and leave the moment memorable and better than it was before. He and Diana were deeply effective, focusing in on all that was important rather than dwelling on the details. This was also very practical, as his various business endeavors forced him to travel often and required him to make each moment count with each lady in his house. No one understood Ronny more and respected his need to accomplish so much in a relatively short time than Diana. I'm reminded by the refrain from Hamilton, "Why do you write like you're running out of time?" Something inside Ronny pushed him to sleep less and contribute more to society than just being smart or successful. While it is impossible to define Ronny in any conventional way, I would like to share a few aspects of Ronny that I've extracted, greatly appreciated, and have tried hard to apply in my life. First, be a good soldier. Being a member of the storied IDF Unit 8200, Ronny held a deep commitment to the young men in his unit, like Dashville. And it was never lost on him the lifelong lessons and value this commitment created. To this very week, Ronny would spend time every Saturday to speak with Ahuva Brau, Dash's mom, who considered Ronny unflinchingly her fifth son, and with whom he had known for longer now than his own mother, Svea. Back in the IDF, Ronny focused deeply supporting those that rode in his Jeep. He shared with me once that here in the US, soldiers are expected to follow orders and be the first to enter battle. In Israel, soldiers are expected to think quickly on their feet. The higher rank you achieve, the more you are responsible to lead, Aharet, after me. As he entered battles in business, he remained that good soldier for his team, protected them, led them, and never expected anyone to do something he couldn't do for himself. Second, be a good businessman. On one of our many trips to Israel, Yoav, Ronny, and I visited Dash at his home in Ra'anana. The concept of the Hebrew word chaya, or sucker, was discussed at length, and I realized this was a key component in how Ronny saw the world. Nothing was worse than being on the weaker side of a deal. That meant consciously organizing his strengths in a way that in nearly every business dealing Ronny and his team won, or at minimum, resulted in a fair and equitable result. Another brilliant business move was when Ronny's decision to hire Rachel Gross more than 20 years ago. Only God knows where Ronny's business life would have ended up otherwise. While we never discussed this, I sensed Ronny was influenced by Walt Whitman's quote, "Be curious, not judgmental." Nothing made him happier than when he took the time to tap his network for help on an issue du jour, solve the issue, and then give all the credit lavishly back to those who helped crack the code. Also, literally, he Googled everything. Specifically, Ronny drilled into me his 4 top rules for business, which I'd like to share with you. At least they were the 4 rules for the game. Rule number 1 is rule number 1. Figure out what the hell is going on. If you can think back to all the memories with Ron, whether he entered a room, whether he was speaking in front of a large audience or he was just with his kids, he was able to quickly, almost instantaneously assess what was happening. Be curious, have a soldier's instinct. Rule number 2, can't be too safe. Manage all the downside, and this is why so many in his network are lawyers. But he also understood that he had to protect the team. So always thinking through with his team, what could go wrong? What would be the downside? How do we avoid something not going right? And that was one of his elements of genius. I apologize for the next rule, Rabbi Blumoff. He had a concept that was as simple as with smoked bacon. Not that any of us have ever enjoyed bacon, but the concept that with smoked bacon, everything is better. He would go above and beyond in everything, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But every situation could always be a little bit better, and that's how Ronnie's brain worked. Everything could be a little bit better. And then rule number 4 fundamentally changed my life. The old maxim of don't put off today or don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. He absolutely refuted this. Never do today what you can do tomorrow. Spend today thinking. Next, be a good friend. This is not about simply being a nice guy or being there for another. It's about investing the time needed in each interaction to extract mutual value to both people and everyone he even didn't. But how? Ronnie's approach was simple. Surround yourself with competent friends. To Ronnie, this made life far more enjoyable, worthwhile, and fun. I can honestly say without equivocation, everyone that I've met in all of Ronnie's networks are top shelf. In wit, intelligence, humor, values, their profession, discretion, anticipation, loyalty, and execution. He was always so proud of his friends. In each and every instance, Ron would rattle off the special qualities of one friend to another. Spending the time that I have with Nadi, Dash, David and Michelle Levy, Imanshu, Neil Gurvich, Bill Ray, Adam Rothstein, Mark Siegel, Joel Navarro, Mortaji Berjat, Michael Jaff, Peter Monteleone, Yoav Rosenman, Angel, Gil, Rachel, all were actively chosen by Ronnie to complement his unique brilliance to consistently make things better both in his life, but equally, if not more so, to theirs. 4th, be wise with your time. Ironically, just notice Ron is in that one. Ironically, Ronnie and I spent an unusually large amount of time reaffirming what we call the 90-10 rule. In short, this is a life lesson about optimizing time, effort, or cost relative to the benefits we personally receive. Basically, 10% of the time, effort, and cost to put any business idea or life experience in motion, you'd strive to deliver 90% of the satisfaction. Camping alongside the lower Colorado River, 20 minutes from our home, as we did a few weeks ago with Yoav and I, would blow the top off the 90-10, say, versus all that would be required to have a relatively similar experience along the Blackfoot River in Missoula, Montana. Why go through all that trouble if you have the same? This maxim drove Ronnie's approach to business opportunities we explored, like a caffeinated tea beverage called Blue Healer, Progress Coffee, and applied it basically to everything we did, including how and where we spent our time. And in nearly every instance, the experience was far superior to anything we otherwise could have been doing. When it came time relative to extracted value, Ronnie did not waste a drop. 5th, actively apply all that you learn. Ronnie regularly imparted lessons, insights, morals, and business ethics he'd learned from his father Amos, mother Zvia, his maternal grandfather Asher, and Uncle Bensi, as well as all his past business dealings. Usually, Ronnie would first share his points in native Hebrew, then translated into less colorful English. His uncle Bensy infused Ronnie with his love for all livestock and the cowboy way. Ronnie would often share stories of the summers he spent as a child in Israel at Hameshach, Bensy's farm in Israel. For those standing here, walked around today here at Windy Ridge, you understand. Windy Ridge is not just a ranch to spend enjoyable downtime. It is the result of applying core elements of all that he loved throughout his past. Building, creating, and nurturing over time all the elements we see here today. The smoked bacon piece is that Ronnie purchased this land, applying his 4 rules of business, because he knew from the very beginning, whatever he did here, the land value would surely rise. Because the land abutted Coda before Coda even existed. Finally, be legendary. People are surprised when they learn Ronnie graduated from medical school, mainly because he never practiced. Many of you have heard the story, but I'll repeat here, that he was all set to begin his residency in Saudi Arabia to Israel back in the late 90s. Before the plane landed at Ben Gurion, he signed a contract before he even spoke with Diane. Signed a contract with a guy sitting next to him on the flight from a VC firm that convinced him that he could do more good and save more lives by bringing to market medical devices that cured thousands or perhaps millions versus one at a time. Ronnie is the epitome of the Hebrew phrase, the Kimulam. Leave the world better than he found it. Always choose the option that gives you more opportunity to do good. Many people are genuinely surprised when I share Ronnie's story that they discover he is the same Ronnie they know. To me, he was the Israeli-born, great neck bred, IDF soldier and expert businessman in the world of cardiovascular science and venture capital. To others, he was a cowboy, or the guy that ran Austin chicken coops, or started craft scooters, or single-handedly gentrified the 51st Street neighborhood north of Hyde Park in West New York. To others, Ronnie was that venture partner in Harvey Met, guided significant and meaningful business deals that changed the lives of many that otherwise would never have gotten past the concept or funding stage. The punchline, another phrase Ronnie usually uttered, is that Ronnie was the stir that mixed the drink of our lives. He answered every call to anyone he could help and did so without fanfare or desire to be thanked. While not perfect, Ronnie willed himself to think through every situation to figure out how to make everything he did better. Send a plant to someone he did something that they did something thoughtful. Give a wildly high tip when service was better than average. Pay for everyone online at the dollar store. And take time to give someone a genuine and over-the-top compliment to ensure they truly felt appreciated. He took a deep, caring interest in those that deserved and needed help, like making Isaac CEO of a company financed to give him every opportunity to succeed, not because he's Sivan's boyfriend, but because he took the time to discover Isaac already had the character and smarts, but simply needed someone to believe in him and give him a shot. Somehow he just knew who would honor him by doing their bst versus those that could take advantage of his altruistic generosity. After Ronnie received his diagnosis 6 months ago, literally one day after I was diagnosed with a large meningioma, he spent much of his free time with me, Yoav, and surely others reflecting on his past and immediate future. He remarked repeatedly about having no regrets, not a single one. That said, despite being intimately familiar with the survival odds, he fought. During a visit just a few weeks ago to MD Anderson, the top oncological expert on Ronnie's case toggled his eyes back and forth between the scans in front of him and Ronnie sitting poised across from him. He simply said, quote, "You're the strongest person I have ever met." At that point, this was the best news he'd heard in half a year. It affirmed for Ronnie that he was fighting to a level beyond even his own or the experts' understanding. Ronnie lived more lives than he ever imagined, visited every place on earth that intrigued him, accomplished more than he ever dreamed, and was beyond proud of the smart, talented, confident, curious, beautiful, and prepared for life. I'll say that again. He accomplished more than he ever dreamed and was beyond proud of the smart, talented, confident, curious, beautiful, and prepared for life young women his daughters have become. He was further comforted that in life's achievements will ensure Diana and his girls would be taken care of financially. Last but not least, he took great solace in knowing his network of friends and business associates were some of the most competent experts in their fields. The company he kept was very important to him, was a genuine reflection of his life's work. Ronnie did things that were quite simply legendary, and I, for one, will forever hold him at the highest level of that moniker. I will celebrate Ronnie for the rest of my days, and am eternally grateful that Ronnie chose to befriend me, took me under his wing, allowed me to be in his mind, his heart, his adventures, and his wonderful life. I love you, brother.
Ronnie had been my best friend and adopted brother since we served in the IDF together more than 30 years ago. We spent most of our lives in different continents, and yet we were always there for each other in our most important moments. I was there when he proposed to Diana. He was not only there when I proposed to Yael, my beloved late wife. A surprise engagement party on his 30th birthday, exactly 22 years ago. When Yael passed away, Ronnie appeared at my doorstep and stayed for more than 2 weeks. One day he went to the Negev and brought us back a Ronny gift. A cute, flea-infested puppy he saved from the sewer in a Bedouin village and washed in seawater before bringing it home to the grieving family. And though it was the last thing I thought I wanted to see that night, it was exactly what we needed. A world without Ronnie is incomplete. This is stating the obvious to all of us here, but this would be obvious in every funeral as everyone misses their loved ones. In Ronnie's case, it's true for so many more. It is true for the Tel Aviv taxi driver who takes his tires to pick up Ronnie. By the end of his ride, he could. It is true for the Jamaican tourist landowner who told Ronnie how hard he struggled to win customers, battling other drivers for every tourist walking out the terminal doors. A month later, he had his own professional website with enthusiastic reviews on TripAdvisor. It is true for the Druze teenager who participated in a course for Palestinian, Jordanian, and Israeli youth dreaming to become doctors. Ronnie taught in this course, and the teenager earned a friend and a mentor for life. It is true for the women undergoing chemotherapy who don't even know Ronnie paid for the drugs. It would have been true for countless others who now will never have the chance to be touched by Ronnie's magic. What is the Ronnie magic? It's the enchanted combination of the ability to connect with any person, be they a homeless person, a university professor, or a billionaire. The ability to listen and make them feel that in this point in time, they're the most important person in the world for Ronnie. And then the ability to provide help, compassion, or good advice as the case may require. You could sum this up as true love of people. Mix in the love of life, always maximizing good experiences, and you get the type of magic that we were all privileged to have lighting our lives. Ronnie is gone, and the world is incomplete without him. It is a void we cannot feel, but maybe we can keep some of its magic alive by creating our own Ronnie moments, adding this touch to our experiences, connecting with people we wouldn't normally, and trying to do a little unexpected good. We can keep the Ronnie magic alive, not only in our hearts, but also in this world. צר לי עליך, אחי רוני. נעמת לי מאוד.
My spark. What is this spark? A stranger asked. Must be a spark. Then he replied. Or again, I did not bother to tell my story of you, my chosen brother, a tale of glory. Indeed, you left me a spark all over me. It is buried in my heart, a spell on me. I see you, a knight on a horse, a weak calf laying in your arms, touring our beloved land across, your pace beat the drums. A solemn prophet on Masada, a child playing in a muddy, salty sea. You, my brother, the Agadah, the legend, everyone who watched me can see. You are my hero and my only legend. Your life has been epic story. You left us a spark, deep branded. I miss you dearly, brother Ronny.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Dash. You all. From words directly to the heart, to the highest heaven. We'll hear from Rachel, who Jonathan mentioned really kind of kept everything together. So it's an honor to hear from you.
I had the great privilege to work for Ronny for almost 20 years. This is a message I shared with Ronny, and Diana asked me if I would share it with you today. I told her that I would be honored to do so. Ronny, I have a story for you. A girl walks into a coffee shop and walks out with a new job. Little does her new boss, who loves coffee, know that she doesn't drink it and has no idea how to make it and never will master it. That girl had no idea, walking out of the coffee shop, that she would realize 18 years later that the man who hired her is the most remarkable man she would ever know. And he would be a true friend. He would become like her dad in many ways. He would help her learn how to be a grown-up in this wild, crazy, beautiful, complicated world, and to grab life and live it to its fullest, to live it half full. And don't talk about it, but just do it. Just go out there and make a difference. Get shit done. To take life's punches and roll with them. And to find something unique in everyone. And to respect and celebrate that. And give them bacon in every possible way. And enjoy goggle-lots. That great man would help her buy her dream house and help her save her husband's life. And so the girl's got to have some fun. And why not a BMW? That girl would go places she had never been. New York, Boston, bat mitzvahs, and more. But the little things each day are what she learned to cherish the most. Working each day for such an important person made her life whole. He was out saving lives and making a difference. Ronny not only have you inspired all of us to become better people, but you also showed us through your own example and made us believe that we can do it. You lived your life this way every single day, selflessly and thoughtfully, and it positively touched so many of us. I'm so very grateful for everything. Thank you for believing in me and trusting me to be a part of your beautiful, adventurous life. I know your light will forever shine. No words encompass the love, emotions, and feelings and give it justice or convey his feelings. You just had to be there to believe it. It was awesome. I'm gonna miss you so much and think of you every day until we meet again. I'm planning on seeing you down the road and we'll hang out by the campfire and visit. I love you and happy birthday.
Thank you, Rachel. Yoav, Dash, Jonathan, Nadi, Isaac, family, Sivan, Ami, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I've got a little bit of FOMO for the smoked bacon thing. I think that's saying. Google everything, huh? Okay. Just a few thoughts. Ronnie, larger than life, was loyal, proud, and fiercely protective. Our Torah this week speaks of generosity and hachnasat orchim, the welcoming of guests. Abraham is our example this week. He who just had his Brit Milah, 3 days later is sitting outside of his tent, as our tradition says, waiting for guests, waiting for people to walk into the coffee shop. And what happens with these guests changes his life. As the promises that were made so long ago that they laughed at, both he and his wife, of all the places you'll go, the people you'll meet, the family you'll raise, came true. Our tradition teaches that when something needs to be done, Rachel, how did you put it? When something needs to get done, like a mitzvah or help, our tradition says it should be done as soon as possible. And a person should not try to exempt themselves by claiming that they are already involved in doing something else. So certainly thinking, Yoni, doing as well. A midrash, an agadah, a legend. Thank you all for making that connection for me. A midrash teaches that Abraham, Yosef Petach HaOhel Kichom Hayom, that there he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And there is a tradition that Abraham was not just sitting by the campfire, not just sitting, but he was in fact sitting at the entrance to the Garden of Eden, to a world well beyond our own. The Garden of Eden, to share company for souls as they pass through this world, perhaps unsure and anxious. As he is, he's sitting between worlds. Sitting between this world and worlds beyond this world, and especially now, when we need guidance. He is ready to sit and talk and still dream as he journeys and ventures forth into paradise. In addition, in this Torah portion, we see Abraham involved in so much activity, seemingly everywhere at once, 100 miles an hour, arguing for Sodom and Gomorrah, being with his family, looking for justice in this world. What drove Ronnie to contain so many lifetimes in a single life? The examples of his parents, and I didn't know her well, but I did know his mother at the Jewish Theological Seminary, maybe the examples of his parents, maybe the recognition of how truly precious our moments are, his accomplishments in listening to these wonderful testaments, his enigmatic ways, his confidence that all would be well when asserting the best of himself. You always felt special and seen. with Ronny. Whether dreaming of what yet can be, laughing at inside jokes, or just being together, it was a special occasion to be in his company. And I'll tell you, as we traveled to Israel together to celebrate Mira, Carly, it was special for me very much to be with your family, to be able to be together. And in this afternoon, we are here, literally immersed in the genius and quick pace of Ronny's aspirations and accomplishments. Angel, thank you for naming the horses that you all had a chance to see. We're literally in his presence of what is possible. And each day, as we've been taught, day after day, especially in these last 7 months, 8 months, we are so rapidly passing each other in this world in a hurry. And like Abraham did, let us turn aside and notice and cherish and uphold our friends and our teachers, our inspirations who are on our path, to hold them, to speak their language. And can we pause and take a moment and let all of Ronny's projects, love, conversations, and determinations wash over us now? You've been thinking about this, I hope. All the ways that we have connected you have connected to Ronny, this extraordinary soul. Can we take this sad moment to take a breath and say thank you? Let us continue to hear Ronny's voice calling to us, sitting with him for a while, speaking of so many things and also allowing silence to be holy. The truth of that moment. We turn to you, Diana, Sivan, Ami, Mira. We sit with you, God willing, not to get a dog from the Negev or anything like that, but to practice the generosity that Ronny modeled too for us. May his memory be for a blessing, and may we bring all of those in our various worlds together to be together as we access the different parts of who we are, knitting all of who we are together to highlight what is possible, to cherish our friendships, to honor our family, and to live mightily in the days, the precious few days that we are bestowed. In this particular moment, unless there's something else, will the moment stand and hear a prayer for Ronny's soul. It's called in Hebrew the El Malei Rachamim, a prayer that accompanies Ronny in this next journey beyond this world. From there is the mourner's Kaddish, and then there is a recognition, those of us diminished in mourning, to feel connected, to feel held. Is there something else? So if you're able to do so, if you could stand, please, for the El Malei Rachamim. You'll hear Ronny's name as we summon and ask God to be exalted and filled with compassion, to grant perfect peace and God's sheltering presence among the extraordinary, among the legendary. To Ronny, who has returned to the Garden of Eden, maybe sitting just outside in that tent in the heat of the day. Master of mercy, we beseech you to remember all of the worthy and righteous deeds, the ways that he sees us and helps us. All of them that he has performed in the land of the living, all those mitzvot to be done today and tomorrow. May his portion be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace. עמי שוכן במרומי המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים וטורים כזוהר רקיע מזהירים את נשמת רוני בן עמוס וצביה שהלך לעולמו בגן עדן תהי מנוחתו אנא בעל הרחמים אז תראהו בסתר כנפיך לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו אדוני ונחלתו וינוח בשלום על משכבו ונאמר Amen. Before the morning's Kaddish, please know in the coming days, the family will be gathered at their home on Valburn in the afternoon, 4:30 to 7, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, to receive, to sit, not be asked a bunch of questions, but rather just to hold space. Donations can be made in Ronnie's loving memory to Sholem Austin and to Texas Food Bank. This is the morning's Kaddish, and then we will conclude with prayers of offering for those who are mourning, prayers of presence. This is the morning's Kaddish, where we magnify God's name in our lived experiences together. Yitzkadal v'yitzkadash shemei Rabbah v'yalmad yivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv imru amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevorach v'yolam olamei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudusha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'miran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlam Rabbah amin shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imromav u'yasei shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. And if we are here online to give chizuk, to give strength to this family, we can offer these words of comfort, which are offered to those in mourning, to those whose hearts are broken. We say these words, Hamakom Yinachem Etchem B'toch Sha'ar Avelei Zion Yerushalayim. May each of you and all of you be comforted along with all other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. May we gather for Simcha as we wish each other long life. Thank you for your